Hi, I want to talk about The Mandalorian and Grogu. I had a new hope when Lucasfilm was sold. I wanted a plethora of filmmakers to unleash their creativity and realise the potential that Star Wars movies could reach for. Especially after the disappointment of the prequel trilogy directed by George Lucas. Unfortunately, virtually every film bar Rogue One has been a letdown. So much so that the prequels seem less rubbish. That is how bad these new flicks have been, as well as so many of the Star Wars TV shows. Having said that, I did really enjoy the first season of The Mandalorian and was anticipating this movie, even though Jon Favreau is a mediocre director, churning out nondescript but occasionally entertaining product. Favreau's two best films as director are his smallest, Maid and Chef. Check out both of those. Having a Martin Scorsese cameo in The Mandalorian and Grogu only made me imagine a Martin Scorsese directed Star Wars. I hoped Favreau had stepped up his game with The Mandalorian and Grogu. After all, he'd been given the keys to one of the granddaddies of all blockbusters. The movie starts with energy but fizzles out. There was a possibility to make this an epic, but the possibility was squandered to the film. So The Mandalorian is becoming known to an ever increasing number of the galaxy. His reputation as a badass is spreading as his anonymity reduces, which I'm guessing is as much a hindrance as a boon for a bounty hunter. His targets get wind of him before he can really sneak around, but they are perhaps more likely to surrender quietly than face his skills. For the entire movie, he is contracted to one organisation, the former Rebel Alliance of the original trilogy, now known as the New Republic. The Mandalorian, or Mando, as some of his pals call him, and his apprentice Grogu are hunting down the remnants of the evil galactic empire that was sundered at the end of Return of the Jedi. The plot of the dire sequels, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, should have been about this. That First Order story was depressingly creatively bankrupt. The Mandalorian Grogu opens on an example of authoritarian gangsterism. A former Galactic Empire stalwart turned warlord is shaking down planets for protection money while not actually protecting them. Mando descends on the warlord and his stormtroopers like a 1980s one-man army and lays waste to them. I saw The Mandalorian and Grogu at an IMAX. The audio and picture scale are immense. The sound effects and score hammer the audience in a fun way. The opening action scenes typify the whole film. Striking production design, cinematography, costumes, visual effects, but lackluster action choreography and direction and editing. Why aren't the best stunt teams and fight choreographers being hired for the franchise? There's a lot of fan service. Being in the Star Wars universe is always welcome. But the nostalgia is now too tedious, and the imagination here is not bold enough. I continually had the feeling of deja vu, and not in a good way. There was even a weird feeling of Blade Runner to one of the cities. Couldn't something completely different have been created? The Mandalorian Grogu is technically superb. I noticed in the credits the names of effects legends John Knoll and Phil Tippett. For those interested in the process of making films, check out season 1 of the documentary on Marvelous Effects House Industrial Light and Magic. The documentary is called Light and Magic. I've not seen season 2 yet. The Mandalorian Grogu could have been a grandiose chase about justice being meted out across the galaxy. Instead, the focus is on the family of Jabba the Hutt. The story underwhelmed. The pace is relentless through much of the runtime until it suddenly sags like the wind suddenly dropping from the sails of a ship. There are not enough interesting characters or characterization to justify the ride suddenly pausing. The breathtaking rush is one of the plus points, as it distracts from the weak elements of the experience. After the lull, then the finale comes along. It is anticlimactic and tired. The Mandalorian and Grogu is another Star Wars disappointment. Out of the 12 movies, only 4 are any good. That's a poor quality to quantity ratio. If you want to watch some more sci-fi action adventures, I have some recommendations for you. Firstly, The Rocketeer. From 1991, one of Disney's most underrated movies. Also, The Iron Giant. I also own it on Blu-ray somewhere around here. A 1999 animated movie from Brad Bird, director of The Incredibles. Star Trek, directed by J.J. Abrams. I own it on DVD and Blu-ray and 4K. I love it that much. It is the franchise's most rollicking installment. Laputa, Castle in the Sky. I own it on DVD and I'm waiting for it to be hopefully released on 4K. It is an awe-inspiring 1986 animated film from director Hayao Miyazaki. Then we've got, I'd also recommend Volume 1 of Star Wars The Clone Wars, directed by Genndy Tartakovsky. Again, I have it on DVD somewhere. Is absolutely action-packed. Next, I'd recommend The Fifth Element, starring Bruce Willis. It is visually stunning. Yeah, put that on your list. Finally, Cowboy Bebop. There is an anime and a live-action version. This may be mildly controversial to some, but I prefer the live-action version to the anime version. The charisma of the lead trio is fantastic. I mourn that the show was not renewed. I hope you enjoy these recommendations. If you enjoyed this review, feel free to subscribe to my channel and like this video.